My name is Emily. I am 29 years old, and I work as a teacher in a small town. Every day begins early for me. The sun is still low when I wake up, make tea, and prepare my lessons. I live in a small apartment close to the school, so my mornings are quiet. The birds outside my window are usually the first sound I hear. I take a few minutes to watch them before getting ready. Then I walk to school with my bag full of books and notebooks. The road is peaceful in the morning, and I like the smell of the fresh air. I teach young children. They are full of energy and curiosity. Every day they remind me how beautiful learning can be. They ask endless questions, laugh at small things, and sometimes make little mistakes that make me smile. I love my job because it fills my days with warmth. When I see their faces light up after they understand something new, I feel proud. After school, I usually stay for a while to mark assignments or prepare for the next day. When the sun starts to go down, I walk back home. My apartment is small but cozy. There's a bookshelf near my bed, a little table by the window, and a plant that I've somehow managed not to kill. In the evenings, I like to read, drink coffee, or listen to soft music. My family lives in another city, so I often call my parents to talk. I don't see them often, but hearing their voices makes me feel close. My life is simple, and most of the time, I like it that way. For a long time, I was single. I had a few relationships before, but they didn't last. Sometimes people think love is easy, that if you care enough, things will work out. But love isn't always like that. It's full of hope and fear. I wanted to find someone kind and honest, someone who would make me feel safe. But I was also afraid of being hurt again. So I focused on my work and my students and told myself that maybe love would find me when the time was right. One Monday morning, something changed. I reached school earlier than usual, the hallways were quiet, and the teacher's lounge was almost empty. As I walked in, I noticed a man I had never seen before standing near the coffee machine. He was tall, with dark hair and gentle eyes. He smiled as he poured himself a cup of coffee. My colleague Lisa, who had just walked in behind me, said, "Emily, this is David. He's the new teacher." David turned to me and smiled again. "Hi, I'm David," he said. "I'm Emily," I replied. There was something easy about his voice, calm and friendly. He didn't seem nervous at all, even though it was his first day. I remember thinking, he looks like someone who enjoys what he does. From that day on, I saw David every day. He was the new art and history teacher, and the children loved him almost instantly. He had a way of making lessons fun. He would draw quick sketches on the board to explain things or tell funny stories that made everyone laugh. During lunch breaks, he sometimes joined me and a few other teachers. We would sit together, sharing small stories about our students. I learned that David loved music, especially old jazz, and that he played the guitar in his free time. As days passed, I started looking forward to our small conversations. Sometimes we talked about books, other times about movies or travel. He asked me about the town, about where I liked to go when I wanted quiet. I told him about a small cafe near the school that served the best coffee. "Maybe I'll try it sometime," he said with a smile. A few weeks later, on a rainy afternoon, he finally did. That day, the last bell had just rung. Most of the teachers were heading home, but David walked over to my classroom door. "Hey, Emily," he said, standing there with his hands in his pockets. "Would you like to have coffee with me?" Me? I asked, a little surprised. He smiled. Yes, you. I hesitated for a moment, then said, Okay. That evening we met at the small cafe near the school. It was quiet, with soft lights and the smell of fresh coffee in the air. We sat near the window, watching the rain slide down the glass. The street outside looked peaceful, almost dreamlike. I like this place, David said. It feels calm. I come here a lot, I replied. It helps me think. We talked for hours. He told me about his childhood, how he grew up in a big family and always loved to draw. He said he once wanted to be an artist, but teaching felt more meaningful. Maybe one day I'll open my own studio, he said, smiling. I told him how I became a teacher and how the children kept me grounded. Talking to him felt natural, like speaking to someone I had known for years. When we left the cafe, the rain had stopped. The air was cool and the street lights made the wet pavement shine. He walked me home, and before leaving he said softly, I'm glad we did this. Me too, I said. After that evening, David and I grew closer. At school, we laughed together. During breaks, he would bring me coffee, and I would share cookies from my favorite bakery. Sometimes, when everyone had gone home, we would stay a bit longer, talking about our students or our dreams. There was a quiet connection between us, something unspoken but real. One Saturday, David asked me if I wanted to go to the museum. There's a new exhibition, he said. I think you'll like it. I said yes. The next day we met outside the museum. It was bright and sunny. Inside, the rooms were full of colors, paintings, sculptures, and photographs. David walked beside me, explaining little details about the art pieces. His eyes lit up as he talked. I could see how much he loved art. I enjoyed watching him more than I enjoyed the paintings. After the museum, we went to a nearby park. We found a bench under a tree and sat there watching children play. The sun felt warm on my skin. David looked at me and said, I like spending time with you. I like spending time with you too, I replied. Something inside me shifted that day. I started to wonder if maybe he liked me more than just a friend. I caught myself thinking about him at night, smiling at small memories of our talks. I told myself not to rush, but my heart didn't always listen. Then one afternoon, everything changed. The school day had ended, and I was cleaning up my classroom when David came to the door. Emily, he said quietly, can we talk? His tone was different, serious. I nodded and asked him to come in. He looked down for a moment before meeting my eyes. There's something I need to tell you, he said. Okay, I said, feeling a little nervous. He took a deep breath. I have a girlfriend. Her name is Rachel. We've been together for 4 years. I froze. His words felt like cold water. You have a girlfriend? I asked. Yes, he said softly. But I'm not happy with her. I didn't know what to say. I just stared at him. My chest felt heavy. Then why didn't you tell me? I asked finally. I didn't plan this, he said. I feel different when I'm with you. I feel free. I looked away. The room felt smaller. But this isn't right, I whispered. I know, he said. I just didn't want to lose you. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts running in circles. Why didn't he tell me before? If he isn't happy, why stay with her? What should I do? I liked him. maybe more than I wanted to admit, but I couldn't be part of something that would hurt someone else. I promised myself I would keep my distance. The next day at school, I avoided David. I didn't sit near him at lunch. When he tried to talk, I said I was busy. It hurt, but I knew I needed time to think. One evening, I went to the market to buy vegetables. As I walked past a small shop, I heard a familiar laugh. I turned and saw David with a woman. She had long, curly hair and wore a stylish coat. They were laughing together, looking happy. My heart sank. I walked away quickly, pretending I hadn't seen them, but the image stayed in my mind. That night, I sat on my bed and stared at the window. The city lights looked blurred through my tears. He said he wasn't happy, I thought, but he looked happy enough today. I realized I couldn't do this anymore. I didn't want to be a secret, and I didn't want to love someone who couldn't be honest. The next morning, I decided to end it, whatever it was. At school, David found me in the teacher's lounge. "Emily, why are you avoiding me?" he asked. I took a deep breath. "David, I saw you yesterday at the market," I said quietly. He froze. "You did?" "Yes, you were with Rachel. You were laughing." He sighed. "It's not what you think." "It looked exactly what I think," I said. "You told me you weren't happy, but you looked happy enough." He rubbed his forehead. "Rachel and I, we're complicated. I don't love her anymore." "Then you should tell her," I said. "But I can't be part of this. I won't be the person who waits in the background." He looked down. "I don't want to lose you." My throat tightened. "I care about you, David, but I can't do this." For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then he nodded. "I understand," he said softly. I walked out of the lounge before my tears could fall. The next few days were quiet. I missed him, his smile, his jokes, the little notes he left on my desk. But deep down, I knew I had done the right thing. I focused on my students. Their laughter filled the empty spaces in my heart. My friend Lisa noticed I was quiet, and one day she said, "Emily, you did the right thing. Some things just aren't meant to be." Her words comforted me. Weeks passed. Slowly, the pain began to fade. One afternoon, after school, I went for a walk in the park. The air was warm, and the flowers were blooming. I sat on a bench, watching children play, then I heard a familiar voice. "Emily?" I turned and saw Alex, an old friend from college. I hadn't seen him in years. He smiled, looking surprised. "I can't believe it's you." "Alex, it's been so long," I said, standing up. We sat on the bench and talked for hours. He told me he had moved back to town and was working as a doctor at the city hospital. We laughed about old memories, the late-night study sessions, the bad coffee in the dorm, the silly things we used to say. It felt easy and warm. After that day, we started meeting more often. Coffee after work, walks on weekends, small dinners. Alex was calm, honest, and gentle. He never tried to impress me. He just listened, and that made all the difference. I didn't feel nervous around him. I felt safe. One afternoon while we were having coffee, Alex looked at me and said, "Emily, I really enjoy spending time with you." I smiled. "Me too." He hesitated, then asked, "Would you like to go out for dinner with me this weekend?" I felt my heart flutter. "I'd love to," I said. Over the next months, our bond grew. We shared simple moments, Morning walks, grocery trips, movie nights. I learned that real love isn't made of big gestures, but of quiet care. When I was tired, Alex would bring me tea. When he had a long day, I'd cook for him. We laughed a lot and talked about everything, from childhood dreams to future plans. A year passed like that, filled with calm happiness. One evening, we went for a walk in the park, just like the first time we met again. The sun was setting, and the sky was painted with pink and gold. We stopped near the same bench. Alex turned to me and took my hand. "Emily," he said, his voice soft but steady. "We've been together for a year now. I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me?" My heart skipped a beat. Tears filled my eyes. I remembered everything. The pain, the confusion, the nights I thought I'd never find love. But standing there, holding his hand, I knew this was different. This was real. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, I will." He smiled and placed a ring on my finger. We hugged as the sky turned deep orange. I felt peace, the kind that comes only when you know you are finally where you belong. Sometimes I think about David, not with anger, but with understanding. Maybe he taught me something, that love built on half-truths cannot last. I once thought love was about excitement and butterflies. Now I know it's about trust, honesty, and kindness. Life has its way of teaching us what we need to learn. Now, when I wake up in the morning, I still walk to school with my bag full of books. My life hasn't changed much on the outside, but inside, I feel lighter. I know that love doesn't have to be complicated. It can be gentle. It can be true. Life is full of surprises. Sometimes we have to walk away from the wrong person to find the right one. And when we do, everything starts to make sense. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More simple and heartfelt stories are coming soon.